And I'm so excited just to introduce you like real quick because you're somebody that has more energy and passion for this industry than I've ever seen before. You're an author, a hairdresser, a salon owner, a school owner. You have 25 years behind the chair. I didn't even know this until recently, but you launched your own product line. So congratulations
Thank you.
on that. I mean, you have your hands all over everything. And what I think stands out the most is that I've had the honor and privilege of meeting you, and your energy is something out of this world. And the way that you come into interactions with every person is like so personable, but so over the top energetic. And with somebody that has a million things going on in their life, how do you keep that passion and that energy each and every day? Because I know that there's people that are listening to this right now that, you know, maybe just have one salon, but they have a hard time having that energy and passion every day. And you just exude that. Like, you walk in the room, and I mean, when you were in our school in Michigan, you had everybody up jumping and dancing, and like, just, it's just crazy the amount of energy that you bring to everything that you do. So what's one of your little secrets, or as many secrets as you want to share? Because I know that's something that people will always ask.
Yeah, it's a great question, Sean. And I always say that enthusiasm and energy outweighs IQ any day of the week. I mean, you've got to have energy, you got to have passion, especially what you and Tina do, and being a former coach of John Maxwell and your salons and your school. It's not easy. But one of the things that I want to share with your audience is, how do I maintain my energy? How do I maintain my enthusiasm? In order to manage anybody else, first of all, you got to manage yourself first. And if you can't manage yourself, you'll never manage anybody else. So I think we can start with how to manage yourself, as an individual. And one of the things uh, that I do, and I'm not expecting this for everybody, because most of the things that I share now are just my opinion and what works for me. What works for me. What might work for me, maybe bits and pieces might work for you or for Tina or for anybody within our organization. Especially, this particular program, we're talking about mastering your leadership, and that is huge when it comes to a leader. You got to really be able to manage yourself. And now that I live in Sarasota, it's more difficult for me because I have to lead from a distance, and your enthusiasm has to be high, number one, and you've got to hold your people to expectations. And that's not any different whether you're on the front line or whether you're right down the hallway from your people, or you're in a different school, you're in a different salon. Those are the two things that you really need as expectations in your level of enthusiasm. And I think the big word, and I think you both are aware of this, is that you have to be consistent. If you're not consistent in what you do, and you're one person at the airport and you're another person in front of your people, you're not consistent in what you do. I'm pretty consistent. Not that I don't break the rules as far as my diet and as far as my health and as far as my sleep, but very, very seldom, because now it's becomes part of my life. It's not just a habit. So to go back to answer your question, what do I do? So, and I want to say this to your audience too, Sean. I'm a 5 a.m. person. I'm in the 5 a.m. club. And, a lot of people want me to get up at 5 o'clock, but I've been really accustomed to it and I'm used to it now. It's funny because I think Tina is in the 5 a.m. club too, because I've caught her in the gym many times. Her and I mean, they didn't even open the place up and we're ready to knock the door down, ready to go in. So am I right, Tina? I mean, yeah, it's really, it's incredible. So I think you're in the 5 a.m. club. Now, I say to you the 5 a.m. club is because it's less distractions. There's less distractions. Believe it or not, we get interfered 250 times a day on our cell phone alone. So we get distracted 250 times. It could be a text message. It could be an Instagram. It could be Facebook. It could be whatever you're dealing with that's on social media that people want your attention because they need answers to things. But for me, from 5 a.m. to, I would say, like 9 a.m., I get my most work done only because I have less distractions. Once my day starts at 9 o'clock, then the phone starts to go off the hook. You know what I mean? But I stay in control. And I think that's really important. You can't veer off because there's so many things that we deal with on a daily basis when it comes to leadership, especially developing other leaders as well. So I get up at 5 a.m. The first thing I do is I drink a bottle of water. I'm a firm believer. I read a great book, and I want to share this with your audience. The Body Cries for Water. It's by a doctor that really emphasizes drinking water, at least 64 ounces of water a day, or half of your body weight in ounces of water. And I have to tell you, I haven't had a cold or a sniffle. Geez, probably for about 20 years, only because I drink 64 ounces of water a day. Now, here's the key. I either put in lime or lemon in my water. And that's really important because it's alkaline. It alkalines your body, and it actually cleanses your body. And there's many books out there on nutrition. I've read many books about nutritionists and about what they say, what to do to your body. And cleansing is really important. So I cleanse my body in the morning with 64 ounces of water throughout the day, without the 24-hour period. Like around, I'd say like 1 o'clock, I'll drink another 16.9 ounce of alkaline water. I don't drink purified water. And there's a big difference. There's probably only about 30 or 40 cents difference. You can buy it at Costco, or you can buy it at Sam's Club or whatever, but you got to drink water. If you go to your doctor and you're not feeling well, the first thing the doctor's going to say to you is you're dehydrated. You don't drink enough water. And I'll save your audience $350 from going to the doctors. And one of the ways to look and to identify whether or not you're hydrated or not is to look at your urine. If your urine is heavy and thick and orangey, then you're dehydrated. If it's light and clear, it means you're hydrated. And you're going to go to the bathroom a lot. I go to the bathroom a lot, but that's one way to see whether or not you're hydrated or not. Now, what that really means is that your immune system is a lot higher. So it's going to push away any people that think that they're going to get a deficiency or an infection or whatever. So the only reason why people get sick is because their immune system is very low. I think both of you know that. And they don't wash their hands, and they touch their face. This whole thing with coronavirus and Corona-19 and the pandemic and everything like that. If you wash your hands and you don't touch your face, I'm a firm believer you'll be safe. I'm a firm believer. I think there's a lot of fear out there. I think there's a lot of people being scared. It goes on and on. And it's just something that I think that we need to be aware of, I guess. And you're going to see now that, Sleepy Joe's in, you're going to be presently surprised that things are going to start to turn around. With the vaccine, there's 4 different companies and people taking it. And I think by the summertime, I think we're going to be back to normal. Everybody wants to get back to normal. I have to tell you, a lot of people with this COVID-19, they lost a lot of stylists. I was fortunate. I didn't lose any stylists, but I lost instructors, which is even worse. But I replaced them with better instructors. So it actually worked out. We qualified for the PPP loan, and I think you probably did too as well. And now the second batch coming around, I hope you qualify for that, because all the people that are listening to this, that's going to really push you over the top if you qualify for that PPP. It's amazing the second time around. It's going to be amazing. So pick your worst month that you had in 2020. Nobody had a good year in 2020. Some people did, but it was tough. It was very difficult. We're still dealing with that in our school as far as the social distancing. We got to be 6 feet apart. We take our students every 8 weeks. So we got to skip March because we don't have any room for people. We got to go to May, and now it's going to be more difficult for my admissions and for my program director, because their numbers have to be a lot higher, for May than they would be for March and May. So they got to split the difference. So I'm hoping that, our governor in Massachusetts lifts that ban and lifts the distance of social distancing. But it's not a joke. It's very serious, and I don't think people taking it serious. I'm fortunate down here in Florida. I love the governor down here. And, the only time we got to wear our mask is in the big box stores. Shit, they still have outside dining and inside dining and wash your hands and everything else. So we're pretty fortunate when it comes to that. So I call it HOP, H-O-P, Hour Power. So from 5 a.m., I drink the water. I listen to good music. and I exercise. I think that taking care of your body and your mind got to work hand in hand. So drinking 64 ounces of water really helps. Lemon or lime to alkaline your body. Everybody's got a Costco card. Everybody's got a Sam's Club. Everybody's got a BJ's. Get your fanny over there. Go buy a case of water and put it everywhere. Put it in the bathroom. Put it on in your car. Put it wherever you go. So it becomes a habit. You got to do it for 21 days in order to make it a habit. Then I do a one-page plan, and a one-page plan is just simple. And I'm a very simple guy, and I like to do things that are simple. I call them the three S's. So if you think about this, the three S's: self-confidence. And how do you get self-confidence? Is by doing. Okay. Then number two is simplicity. Keep it simple. So both of you and Sean and everybody out there and all your servant leaders, we're going to talk about servant leadership because both of you are servant leaders. There's no question in my mind. But it's very difficult. Your job is to make other leaders excel, to move along, to become stronger, to become better. Because I'm a firm believer, you truly are not successful until you can walk away from your business and your business can operate without you. Then you're successful. Then you've taught your leaders, you've built your leaders, you built your philosophy, your mission statement, and everything else. And you both know this. It's a lot easier said than done. It's very, very difficult. I've been doing this for 49 years. So there's not too much I haven't seen in the hair industry in all aspects of it. And I've watched and I've learned and I've studied it, and I've studied outside of my industry and I studied in my industry. And, back to what you said, Tina, in the beginning is everybody's still having fun. And that's the name of the game. If I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it right. I mean, I'll do something else. I'll go work at Dairy Queen or I'll go work at Walmart. I'd be a hell of a greeter at Walmart, wouldn't I? I mean, just say, hello, how are you? We're the best.
That's our retirement plan.
That's a retirement plan. Well, I'm not going to retire. I switched it. You can steal this, Tina.
Me neither, Paul.
I'm not going to retire. I'm going to refire, right?
Yep.
And I'm still having fun. And the minute that stops, then I'll change directions. But until then, I have to tell you, I absolutely love the hair industry. But anyways, the second part of HOP, H-O-P, the hour of power, is just take a 5.5 piece of paper and by 11, and I call it you're planning. And this is all I have. I have my top 5, which I call my big 5, and then I have my little 5. Now, most of my top 5 I focus on from 5 until 9 in the morning. And the reason for that, and you have to identify whether you're an AM person or a PM person, because there's not a right or there's not a wrong. Your energy level is high at a certain point. Like I am a 5 AM person. So if I have to read a lease, if I have to negotiate, if I'm thinking about letting somebody go, if I'm thinking about hiring somebody, if I have to talk to one of my leaders within my organization, I do that in the morning. So I call them my big 5s. That's when my state of mind is at the highest level, whether it's full of dopamine, which gives you the ability for willpower and focus, and it makes you happy. And then it triggers your serotonin. And then BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I mean, I read Daniel Emmons' book, and I'm sure you studied him. He was at one of the leadership programs for Paul Mitchell, Dr. Emmons. He's a brain specialist. And
Dr. Amen. Yep.
Yeah, if you probably remember, he can determine whether or not you're going to get Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever. But he was very, very interesting. I read his book, so he was very good. So I start to dwindle like around 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm not at peak state because I can't think clearly. Like when I was behind the chair for 25 years, if I had to do corrective color, if I was doing a critical haircut, they'd always be in the morning. They wouldn't be in the afternoon. So if you can identify that, then you can adjust your schedule accordingly. Mm-hmm. Now, my little 5 would be things like I got to go to a grocery store. I got to pick up my clothes at the cleaners. I got to get my oil changed or whatever, where I don't have to do a lot of thinking, But my best time is in the morning, and you are both leaders. So you have to identify when is your best time, Sean, whether it's in the morning or whether it's in the afternoon. And that's the same with all of your audience. Your audience, they have to think about that because in the beginning, they get all excited about their business and they want to do great. And they want to do, but they don't understand a P&L. They don't understand a balance sheet. They don't understand a profit or loss statement. They don't understand their taxes, and they wait and they go. And then one day they just say, shit, this is just not for me. Maybe I'm in the wrong business because I don't know how to hire and people are leaving me, and I get excited. Your business is not your baby. That's number one. Because every time I consult about 6 people a year, and everybody thinks their business is their baby. It's not your baby. Your babies are at home. You got your babies at home, right, Tina? And Sean, you get your babies at home. Your babies is not your business. Your business is an asset. Your business gives you something. It gives you freedom, gives you flexibility. It gives you the ability to do what you want, when you want, whenever you want. That's why you put the hours in that you do. And if you can't do that, you're not in business. Your business is controlling you. You're not controlling your business, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you got to really think about that. And a lot of people don't think about that. Like you, Tina, and myself, and probably Sean now, we're leaders. We spend a lot of time alone. I spend a lot of time on my lanai thinking and writing. And I have to tell you, the best thing that ever happened to me is coming to Florida, because now I don't have any of these distractions. I don't have a lot of these distractions pulling me in a lot of different directions. So I can think strategically. I can organize my thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's so important for business. I mean, we're so used to, when you're younger, you're so used to being on a treadmill and going. We're going to do this. We're going to light the world on fire. And we get our ass kicked.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And we've had more failures than we had success. I know I have. But I learned from them, and I go, I don't want to do this anymore. So now your job, Sean, and Tina, your job is teaching your leaders how to run their business, not their business running them. And that takes time. Listen to me. It's messy in the middle, and it's gorgeous at the end, and it's hard in the beginning. But if your audience, the younger generation, the millennials, if they can understand what we're teaching, what you do, Tina, what Sean does is magnificent. The amount of information, the knowledge, the experience, your audience can condense decades into days. And that's the name of the game. Not like you and I, Tina. We had to go through trial and error. But, you had some good mentors. You had John Paul and you had Wynn, and, you had some great mentors, and the people that speak at all your associations. It's amazing. But it's up to the individual, because most of the time the school owner or the salon owners goes right back and they start right where they were before. They don't change the freaking thing because they don't think they have to change. And it's just too painful. I don't know about you. I don't want any more pain. I'm trying to make it easy. It's too painful. Jesus. Right, Tina?
I love this so much. It's so true. I love, what's the P in the hop, by the way?
Oh, no, wait a minute now. So we gotta get going. So hop, the hour of power.
Yeah, hour of power. Oh, hour of power. Okay.
So you got, so hour of power is 20, 20, and 20.
Okay.
Now we're going to go to the last 20 minutes. So we did the big 5, the little 5. Now, by the way, the little 5 could lead up to the big 5, but all of your audience have to determine that. They have to figure out whether they're AM or PM. And by the way, I want to repeat myself. It's not wrong and it's not right. You have to identify that. Like, I know when I'm at peak state. I know when I'm lethargic. I know when I got to grab a coffee to pick myself back up. But I don't do anything critical after 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because my serotonin, my dopamine, my BDNF is gone down. And that's just natural. That's just part of your DNA. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? You can exercise, you can drink all the water you want, you can do whatever, but eventually you get tired. I get tired. I'll be the first one.
Of course.
You might not think so.
I can't believe you get tired, Paul.
Oh yeah, I get tired. And I can fall asleep standing up. I'm not kidding you. About 9 o'clock, I nod my head. I'm trying to watch I try to watch Fox, and I try to watch Sean Hannity of course I take notes. I can remember half the shit. But in any event, I'm still having fun. Now, the last 20 minutes, which I think is extremely important. I'm going to just give you some good tips. Gratefulness and gratitude. And so what are you grateful for? And, you won't even might have to list 5 or 6. You might want to say, I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful for my girlfriend. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my grandchildren. I'm grateful for my school. I'm grateful for my salon. You can even say that I'm grateful for the wind blowing against your face. It's as simple as you can possibly make it. Now, this is really important. Not only do I do gratefulness and gratitude in the morning, and that's part of my 5 a.m. club, at nighttime, and this is very important, that you got to say to yourself, as tough as your day might have been, there has to be 3 to 5 great things that happened to you today. And you got to ask yourself this: what are 3 or 5 things that really were magnificent that happened today? Because we're wired as human beings, we know that we're going to focus on the negative. That's why we can't sleep. That's why we toss and turn. That's why we eat like we eat, because it makes us feel better. But if you say to yourself, what are 3 great things that happened to me today? I know that, Tina, you and Sean, you did more than 3 things. You did more than 5 things. You catch people doing things right. I know your leadership. But focus on 3 great things that happened today. You might have hugged your grandson or your granddaughter, or you might have bought them something. Sean might have done the same thing. He might have hugged somebody going into the school or the salon, or he might have spoke. There's something that you've done. And when you do that at nighttime, it erases fear. And they've done studies on this. This is not made up by Paul DiGrigoli. This is scientific.
Yeah.
Okay. And they say that you sleep better, you have more of a sound sleep. Now, when we talk about sleep, they're saying today you're supposed to sleep 7 to 8 hours and 4 hours of sound sleep a night. That's really, really important. 4 hours of sound sleep. That's extremely important. So don't think that you can just run on 4 or 5 hours a day. You can't. I used to do that when I was younger, but as I get older and more mature, I try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night and 4 hours of sound sleep. And it recharges and it reboots your brain, if you will. And like I said to you, that's scientific. And by the way, for all of your audience, Tina and Sean, hairdressers are notorious for eating after 8 o'clock at night. 7, 8 o'clock at night. We're notorious.
Yeah, that'll kill you.
It'll kill you. I mean, you lift up a 6-ounce filet mignon, and then you have a baked potato, then you have 2 martinis, then you have a salad, then you have an appetizer. Jesus Christ, you get no wonder why you want to go home and you want to make love to your husband. You go, honey, I'm tired tonight. I'm exhausted, because your body's up your mind is sleeping, but your body is up all night long trying to digest your food. Did you know that it takes 7 days to completely get a steak out of your system?
Wow.
7 days to break it down. And you wonder why you're lethargic and you wonder why you're tired. It's because of your digestive system that takes the most energy from us. So hairdressers, if they're going to eat after 8 o'clock at night, because I know they're starving, and when you're starving, you just grab anything, whatever's available, and it's not nutritionist.
No.
But after 8 o'clock at night, eat water-soluble foods. So at least 70%. I mean, like a salad or broccoli or beans. I know it's not their favorite thing to do. They say, oh, shit, broccoli, beans. I mean, you got to listen.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. Zig and zag. Yeah, because you became accustomed to it. So you got to zig and you got to zag. But, nothing after 8 o'clock. Hairdressers are notorious for eating after 8 o'clock at night because they're working all day long. They're behind the chair. They're pumping that chair up. They're doing hair. They're talking. We're the hardest working people in the world. People don't realize that,
Yeah, it's so funny. I'll walk in the back rooms of our salons and it scares me, Paul, because it's like Cheetos and I don't know, cupcakes, and it's scary. And I know people are just grabbing what they can, but they're wondering why they're not feeling the best that they could be, you know. And I love what you're talking about, because when you talk about leadership, sometimes you just got to go to the gym. Sometimes you just got to, you know, eat better. Sometimes, you know, if you want to shift your leadership. So I love where this whole conversation is going, Paul. Where did that come for you? When did you have that transformational shift of you realize, man, I've got to get more sleep, I got to eat better? When did that happen for you?
You know, Tina, that's a great question. It happened young because, you know, I didn't come from an academic family. Um, Most of all my learning has been self-educated and self-studying. And so it was from a young age. You know, when I first was in high school, I was very athletically inclined. They played basketball and football. And I have to tell you that in order for me to stay on the basketball team or to play football, I had to have a C or better. So that was my motivation. Now, my coaches, no, they were not educated. They gave us salt tablets, which
Yeah.
doesn't allow you to perspire. That's the worst thing in the world.
Wow.
We
Wow.
drank water in practice. We had a small little ladle. I remember taking off my filthy socks, okay, and dunking it in a gallon of water and then squeezing it out and drinking the water. That's how thirsty we were. We couldn't have any water. They didn't even give us any water. Very little water. We had to do fireman's carries and everything. So,
Wow.
you know, I just decided that, you know, I really wanted to play basketball. And I didn't amount to anything. I never even made it to a D3 school because of academically, I had to have a C or better to even stay on the basketball team. But today, see, I learned again, I would have probably I love basketball, so I'd have played basketball and I would have ran cross country. But it's not easy because today, like especially in Florida, they pick one sport, they do it all year round.
Right.
Back in Massachusetts, you got the winter, you don't play,
Yeah.
you play 3 sports. So I think it was a young age that I adapted to this, probably like around, I'd say 22 years old, because I didn't do this when I was in high school. I remember we used to go, we were starving to death. We raided the home ec room and we
Yeah.
used to eat all the shit in there that the girls made for the day. We didn't, we
That's
actually,
awesome.
we stole it. We didn't physically steal it. We stole it in our body because we ate all the cupcakes and shit. It was all sugar. So, you know, you were high for a while, you know, but, well, we got in trouble for that. But,
That's
yeah,
amazing. So,
that's,
Paul, when you got into the salon business and the school business, I know we have a lot of listeners that want to not only be salon owners, but they also want to be school owners. So
yeah.
talk about that transition for you. When did that happen? And also, what advice do you have for people who want to own either a salon or a school?
Yeah, I actually would encourage people now to open a school if they can, like 3 or 4 years after they decide to open up their salon. Because for me, having my school for 20 years, it's actually the direct pipeline now between the school and the salons. Now, I can't hire the best people. We're the bridge that helps a lot of the salons within the area. I'd say within a 20-mile radius, we call the salons. We invite them to our school. We ask them to do educational events. We want to fill their salons with some good students, you know. So it's we can't take all of them. We only have we only have 10 stations in our salon, and they're full. And most of well, except for one guy's been with me for 32 years. I didn't have
Wow.
my school then, Jimmy Overbaugh, and he still leads in services and retail. He's over 50 now, and most of all the girls are from my school, and most of them been there for 10 years or 12 years or 15 years. So there really isn't a vacancy. Like I said earlier in this conversation with COVID-19, we didn't lose any stylists. A lot of stylists left salons because of the PPP or because of the $600 they were getting a week and so on and so
Right.
forth. So you got to have the ability to bounce back. But I would encourage the salon owners, get your salon first, get that up, up and running right, and then go on to your school so you have a direct pipeline. And it's not easy, Tina, as you know, as you and Sean know, it's not easy. It's difficult. Believe me when I tell you. I've been at this for almost, like I said, 47 years now. And it's only been for about 10 years for me that I've really been having good flexibility, and I've really established good wealth and so on and so forth. But at any time it can shift. I don't take it for granted. You know, I'm still the same person that I was in the very beginning. I just learned a lot. So to encourage the salon owners, they can open up their own salon, but they better understand it. You know, they better make a list. They just can't say, well, I'm doing $2,000 a week. Oh shit, you know, she's making or he's making 50% commission, and they think it's that easy. It's not that easy. There's somebody, you got to pay a receptionist. You got to pay somebody to clean. Who's going to buy the toilet paper? Who's going to get the Windex? Who's going to get the chlorine? I mean, I can go on and on and on. The payroll. They think that we just pay the payroll taxes. You got to pay FICA. You got to pay Social Security. You know, it goes on and on and on. You know, so if you don't understand that of what it takes, and you're not going to make any money probably for the first or 6, 7, or 8 years, who knows, right? Then go ahead and do it. I'd encourage you to do it. But if you can be working with a salon owner that gives you exactly what you want, and you got room to grow, and you're going to climb the ladder, and you're going to be part of the company someday, or you can be under her leadership or his leadership, that's the name of the game as far as I'm concerned. But to try to do it on your own today, you can do it, but it's going to take a lot longer. But you better understand it. That's the key. Because if you don't understand what it takes to own your own business, you're in trouble as far as I'm concerned, because you'll die out in 3 or 4 years. That's why they say that. I think for every business that opens, 50% of the businesses fail. In 10 years, almost 90% of the business fail. After 12 years, only 1% of the people survive, and they make $1 million or more a year.
1%. Wow, that's really interesting.
That's a low statistic.
I'm not surprised.
You're not surprised.
Not surprised.
Not at all.
I don't think people really understand. And I always call it the law of sacrifice. You know, we've got, you know, John Maxwell talks a lot about the different laws, you know, the law of the lid, the law of sacrifice. Talk about that, because I don't think, and even though you say it's not your baby, the business is not your baby, you still don't really have freedom. Because I was just talking, my son-in-law, he worked for a big corporation. I feel like he's got a lot more freedom than I do, you know, because even though like you are, I live in Florida as well, and I go back and forth, but there's never a moment that I'm not thinking about my company. Whereas my son-in-law, he just shuts it off because he's an employee, you know, of a company. And so he can just shut it off. So I know that's the biggest key word is freedom. And I'm like, I'm not sure if that's a good word to use or not, but talk a little bit about freedom and the law of sacrifice. Like, what has it really taken for you, Paul, to own your own companies? And again, you know, I'll talk to our brand new students in our school, and they, pretty much every hand goes up. I just talked to a brand new core class, and one hand did not go up. And I'm like, she's a smart girl. But the rest of them all went up, but they don't have a clue what it's going to take.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go back to your brother-in-law. And he has to understand that even though that you're trying to establish your freedom and the sacrifice that you're making for all your businesses, profits are better than wages, period. So at the end of the day, you will see, if you match it up apples for apples, in the long run, profits are better than wages. That's why you have to sacrifice. That's why you're going after the freedom, and so on and so forth. Now, in the very beginning, I'll be the first to admit it, I didn't have any good mentors. Most of my mentors were my books, probably just like you, Tina, or maybe Sean.
100%.
We didn't have good mentors, and it takes a long time to read. You know, you have to highlight, you have to underline, you have to take notes, you have to understand it, you have to put it into action. You can't let this stuff die on your lips. So I think in the long run, you got to be a special individual to really own your own business. I don't care what anybody says, because you are going to sacrifice.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Now, these younger girls or guys that want to open up their own business, they have to look at the 4 main ingredients that we look at when it comes to a New Year's resolution, right? So we look at, well, we want to better our finances. We want to better our career. We want to better our health. And number 4, which by far is the most important, I want to better my relationships. Now, if you let any one of these 4 go, you're going to suffer.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to make a sacrifice. So you got to have the balance. So you got to ask yourself, what's most important. Now, I have to be perfectly honest with you. I got a divorce. Well, my daughter now is 26 years old. She was only 6 months old when I got a divorce. The first 7 years when I was married, I didn't even want to go home. I stayed in my business. I stayed until I couldn't open my eyes anymore. Then I went home because I didn't want to face the music. And then eventually we got a divorce. And then I never remarried again for 26 years. And I'm happy that I did because I gave all my time to my daughter, never missed a soccer game, never missed a parents' weekend, paid for her to go to grad school, paid for the braces in her mouth, on broad, you name it, blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. But it's a sacrifice. And like you said, you gotta ask yourself, do you want to sacrifice those 4 categories that I just named? Because a lot of times now, by the way, this is a scientific, this is a national statistics. By February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, 96% of people that have established their goals in those 4 categories go back the way they were. 96% of the people.
Yeah.
So only 4% of the people stick to it because it's not part of their life. If you go to the gym right now, you can't get a treadmill.
Right.
You can't get elliptical. But go February 15th, you get one all you want.
So true.
You just walk in the door. It's unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Because people just say, shit, I'm not going to do this anymore because it doesn't become part of their life. Or, they put, it's like mind over mattress, right?
Mind over mattress.
Get your sneakers out there. Get your suit out there and get ready to go. But yeah, to make that, it's a big sacrifice in the very beginning. But if you listen to you and you listen to Sean and you do the right things and listen to the people that have gone through it before, I call it the figure 8 theory. So if you take the number 8 and you keep going round and round and round and round, you're not going to get from point A to point B. So stop doing the figure 8 theory, listen to the people, take notes, and then put it into action. So when you talk about a sacrifice, you're going to sacrifice the first 20 or 30 years of your life. Yeah. And then after that, you'll get to a position where you or Sean are, where you have the salons and you have the school and you rock and roll. So you can teach your students a lot of what you've experienced. It's the same with me. That's all I've done was eat, drink, and sleep here for 47 years, 48 years. I don't know anything else. My friends try to talk me into doing other shit, but I go, I'm not. They go, well, why don't you open a pizza place? I don't know anything about sauce. I can make sauce, but I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want to know about shells. I don't want to know about apron. I don't want to know about anything because that's not what I do. And by the way, that leads me to this. Every single one of us, and I want you to think about this, Tina and Sean, every single one of us have what I call 3 superpowers. And this is your audience as well. So you don't have to tell me now, but what are your 3 superpowers? Now, your 3 superpowers are things that you love to do and you do them effortlessly. What are they? Now, I'm not saying that you don't do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other things that you do, but there's 3 things that you do effortlessly that you already mastered those skills, but it comes effortless to you because it's part of your DNA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When we try to be all things to all people, and again, I'm telling you from personal experience, that's how I was in the beginning. I nearly killed myself. Tina, and I'm being perfectly honest with you, But now I've learned that what do I do well? What are the 3 things that I do well? What do I do effortlessly? And what do I love to do where time disappears? When people look at the clock, they say, oh, shit, it's 11 o'clock. Oh, gee, right, Sean? It's 12 o'clock. Oh, it's 3 o'clock. We go, oh, my God, I can't believe it. It's 7 o'clock. I got to get home. I'm late. That's us.
Yeah.
Am I right?
What are your 3 superpowers? I'm dying to know.
Oh, so my 3 superpowers, you're funny. Let me tell you what my 3 superpowers are. I actually, I wrote them down. What are my 3 superpowers? And I think when you really think about it, number 1 is my personality. So that's my superpower. So I love people
Charisma.
when all the time. Charisma, yeah, character. So I know that I'm a type A personality. So if I go up against you, Tina, or Sean, you're both type A personality. So I become a B. So I learn and I listen and I pitch and catch. Now I'm going to stand up to my opinion. I'm going to give you my opinion, but I'm not going to go against your values or beliefs because we have the same values and beliefs. But if I try to go against you, then you're not going to like me because I'm a type A. Now, type B personality, we have a tendency to attract a B personality because we always want to stand them up. We want to stand them up. We want to make them look good. You know, they walk out of the bedroom, they say, well, you type A, probably say, don't wear that with that. That doesn't look good. You know, that's a type A, right?
Right.
I mean, if you get a type A personality, I'll give you an example of just ordering a pizza and go something like this. So, Tina, what do you want? Well, I have mushrooms, pepperoni, and olives. What do you want, Paul? Well, I want mushrooms, pepperoni, olives, and anchovies. About 5 seconds later, Tina looks at me and says, get your own pizza. That's a type A. Now,
Right.
type B, they go something like this. So what are you going to have? Well, I'll have whatever you want. I can eat anything you want. What are you going to have? Well, I don't care. 45 minutes later, they still haven't ordered the pizza. You know what I mean? That's a type B.
Right.
So you've got to understand the A and the B because there's logic to that, you know? So my personality would be number one. I would say probably I'm very informative. I like information. I like knowledge. I'm gravitated towards knowledge. And then I have a good business sense. So I understand how businesses tick, how they work. And what I do now, and I want to share with you too, and all the salon owners out there and the school owners, is that look at your expenses. You know, a lot of times we look at the profit and we look at the cash flow, but both of them are different. And we say, well, did we make money? Did we lose money? How's my cash flow? Well, what are your expenses? So when I consult people and I say to them, well, look at your expenses, they don't even know what to look at. You know, their merchant service account might be too high. They might be paying 4% instead of 1.5. You know, their delivery charge might be astronomical. They might be getting a second delivery charge if it's on back order. You shouldn't be. Your electric, do they leave the dryer on all day long? You know, what about do they shut the lights off? There's a lot of expenses that you can look at that can reduce and increase your profitability and your cash flow if you pay attention. But, you know, it's like watching a game. If I was watching a basketball game or if I was watching a football game, how do I know what team is winning? I got to look at the score.
Right.
So it's not any different in business, but we forget about that. We wait. But you should be looking, you know, every single week at your P&L. You should be looking at it monthly, and then you should be looking at it quarterly, and then you should be looking at it semi-annually, and then you should be looking at it annually. Every one of your businesses. And then this way here, you'll have a handle on, but you can't do that if your business is running you. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
I think that's the whole thing, the whole art. How do we stop the madness of the business running you? Like, what's the first step? And I know Sean and I, and you do the same. We do a lot of coaching to help salon owners to do this. Like, stop working in your business. Let's teach you how to work on it. And just like you said, you know, you've achieved success when you make money, when you're not there, period. That's true. So we're talking to salon owners right now, and they're not making money unless they are there. You know, how do you avoid that mistake? Like, what's the first steps that you need to do?
You know, Tina, that is probably one of the most profound questions I've heard. And I have to tell you this. A lot of the salon owners, the first thing they say to you is that I don't have time. Well, guess what? You don't have time not to make the change because you're going to be in the same boat. I think the biggest ruination today is the hiring process.
Yes.
Who you bring on board. They hire on a shoestring. They hire in desperation. They just hire haphazardly. They don't ask the right questions. I interview 4 times, and I do not interview that person till the last one because they're a different person with you, with Sean, and with me, and anybody's the leader. You got to lead by example. You got to have your people interview them because they're the ones that they're going to be working for, not you. You're going to show up every once in a while. Sean's going to show up every once in a while, but indirectly. And if their leadership is not up to par, what you're doing and what you believe in, what your philosophy, you got the wrong person. Now, let me say this. The number one thing in hiring is that person coachable? Now, they might have potential and they might have experience, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to fit into your culture. No way.
So good. So true.
So you got to teach your leaders when they hire, don't hire haphazardly, don't hire on a shoestring, and don't hire in desperation. If someone walks through that door, I don't care if you're busy, if you're packed or whatever, and somebody says, are you hiring? The worst thing that leader could say is, we're all set. Thank you very much.
Right.
You set up an interview with that person because that person might be a diamond in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know that the next person might be leaving? They might be planning to leave. You don't know. So the toughest thing for us is to find good people to work for us and hiring good people to work for us. You both know this. It's the most difficult part of our job. But here we go. When you do have them, what do you do to keep them? Are you paying attention? Do you do an evaluation? Is it 30? Is it 60? Is it 90 days? Is it semi-annually? Is it annually? People want to know how they're doing.
Yeah.
Is it communication? Is it their service? Is it their retail? Is it their follow through? Is it their dress for success? You know, as leaders, we got to go into our establishments and we got to catch people doing things right. Don't catch people doing things wrong. Because every time you catch somebody doing something wrong, it sets a negative vibe. And by the way, they're watching you, they're watching Sean, they're watching me. It's easy to watch me. It's easy to watch you. You're one person. But try to watch 25 people. It's impossible. But boy, they can keep an eye on you and they're looking for your faults. Mark my word when I tell you.
Yeah. I love this, Paul. And I know we're coming to the end. I wish we could have you for 24 hours right now because I could do a marathon with you. I think you would have enough energy as well. And I know Sean and I would for sure. But I love that you said people want to know how they're doing. And I think that's just one of those misconceptions that I've really struggled with over the years as a leader, of making sure that I'm having really clear communication, you know, with my team members. So I definitely want to grow in that. And before Sean takes this home with the last question, my last question for you is you said that you had a lot of failures and you could probably write a book on it, and I could as well too. And I know you wrote a book, so I want you to talk about your book that you wrote as well too. But what would you say is one of your biggest failures that you made, that you coach on, that you want to make sure no one repeats that same failure as you?
That's a great question. Rely on other people. Don't think that you're going to do it all by yourself, because you're not. And are they going to do it as well as you? No. Don't expect it, because when you expect, you set yourself up for failure. So in order to alleviate this, they have to know what they expect from you as a leader. And in order for them to stay motivated, you got to stay in connection with them. It can't be just once in a while. I hate to say this, but it's got to be all the time. Every week, I talk to my lead instructor, my admissions. Every day, I speak to my program director. I speak with my basic room students. Yours is core. Okay, ours is basic room. But I communicate with her every week. And I communicate with my salon manager every week. So they know what to expect from me. If we're going to have a staff meeting, which we have a staff meeting the first Wednesday of every month, there's communication that goes on. You fail. And my biggest failure was I stopped communicating with my people. Now, I didn't do it intentionally. And I want to use that word intentionally. I did it because I was too busy.
Right.
And they want your attention. They want you all the time. And if you don't give them just a little dose of you, then you're going to fail. Or something's going to happen only because you didn't pay attention. And the only time you, both of you, get a call or a meeting or whatever is when something's wrong.
Right.
Am I right?
Right.
So You got to communicate. I would communicate. I'm a master at communication. By the way, John Maxwell, I wrote his book. Some people communicate, other people's learn, right?
Connect. Yep.
Yeah, I read Connect. I read his book. It was, it was probably a couple of years ago, but it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. I love John Maxwell. I've saw him like 7 or 8 times speak. I just saw him 2 years ago down here in West Palm Beach. He was at what they call a World Leadership Conference. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But what I'm saying is that's my biggest failure. So you got to learn to communicate. And I think, Tina, in your capacity and Sean now's capacity with the salon and the school, bring the best people in, have your students learn, have the energy high. You can pick and choose who you want. You're at that position right now, and only focus on the value that you can give your students and the value that all your salon owners can give their clients, because your students are your brand. Not Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell helps push it, but your student is their brand. They're the ones that are going to get the people that are going to walk through the door. You want to talk about your job is to make all your people within your organization, their job easier, not harder, easier for them. So pick and choose.
Awesome. Well, obviously for everybody that's been with us, you can tell Paul's energy is contagious. And I agree with Tina, we should do a marathon with him. He always has the best advice, and it's practical. And, you talked about your 3 S's. However, we didn't get the third. We got self-confidence and simplicity. We're missing one.
Speed. Yeah. So if you have self-confidence and you keep things simplistic, you're going to create speed. And by the way, there's no speed limit in business. You can go as fast as you want. And Sean, you know this by watching a girl or a guy in your salon or in your school that knows how to balayage, that knows how to do ombre, that knows how to do foil, that wraps a perm perfectly. They got it. So there's self-confidence. And by the way, how do we get self-confidence? You got to do it. And when do you do it? Again and again and again. And here's the key. Make sure you tell your students to have a perfect practice. If you don't have a perfect practice, you put a cap on your ability. So when they're wrapping a perm or they're doing a foil, in the beginning, take your time. It's like riding a bike. You just didn't jump on a bike. You fell off. You cried. You had training wheels. It's not any different of being a cosmetologist, or you're an esthetician or another. Take your time. Then once you get it, then you pick up your speed. But you got to be a perfectionist. That's how people come back to you, your personality, and then your workmanship. But boy, you got to have a great personality. And if you haven't got a great personality, don't go into this industry, because it's all about people, and people to people are business, so you got to have a personality. 85% is personality, 15% is your technical ability. And I've done studies on that by seeing my school. I've seen students with a great personality. They built their book to the sky. Then I see somebody with great hands or great mind, and they had a bad attitude. Shit, they were half booked. You know what I mean? Sure. So, and I use Jimmy for an example. He's not the best hairdresser. He's 32 years he's been with me. He's not the best. He's good at what he does, but boy, he entertains his clients. He tells them stories and shoots the shit. And then if he cuts one side shorter than the other, they come back. They say, hey, we talk too much. You cut one side longer and shorter. And he fixes it. If that was somebody else, they'd just leave. They go to the salon down the street. Right?
I love that. Talk about your book and how can people get a hold of you. Thank you, Paul, so much for being on for us today.
Anytime, Tina. I want to come to your school in Michigan, and I want to come to one
we need to have you back
in Naples. I love your schools. I love what you do, and I know you're part of the Andrew Gomez Foundation. I'm on that board, so I'd love to come to your school. Let me know. I would do Book Solid, the ultimate guide to get into keeping clients for students, because they can use that in your school. It can build up the student salon floor, and they can take it with them to build their clientele when they go to the salon. So it becomes a win-win situation. They can go to p.DiGrigoli@DiGrigoli.com, which is my email, or they can go on my Facebook, which is Paul Joseph DiGrigoli. And they can see a lot of free information, because I do a M&M Motivation Monday, which is going to begin March 1st. It's only going to be under 2 minutes to get people prepared for the week. And then I do my Facebook for about less than 12 to 15 minutes on a different subject matter, but mostly it's on servant leadership, And I would encourage people to be a servant leader. And let me tell you what a servant leader does real quickly. Number one, they always put people first. And number two is they provide opportunities for people within the school and the salon. That's a servant leader. And I encourage the both of you to always catch people doing things right and teach that to your leaders. Make other leaders like you. You guys are servant leaders, so make your servant leaders. Have a meeting with them, empower them, and listen to them. You got to listen to your people. If you don't listen to your people, they're only going to do what they've done at someplace else.
Yeah.
You got a different philosophy. You've got different belief systems. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So teach them, make them grow. That's where you should be spending your time. Don't say you don't have time. Maybe you need to regroup and say, okay, this is what I need to do now. These are my big five. These are my little five. And you got to do it every day. You can't do it once in a while. If Sean said to me in the beginning, you opened up and said, where do you get your energy? Where do you get your passion, your enthusiasm? I'm consistent in what I do. I don't alter too much. I'm bored as hell when it comes to my daily living, but I'm consistent in what I do. And that's, my energy level stays high. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I love that. John Maxwell said once, when people say I would love to follow you around someday, he said, no, you wouldn't. You'd be bored, half stiff of the things that I do. And same thing with us. I know all of us the same way. I'd be like, you guys be falling asleep watching my day.
That's the truth.
Yep.
Yeah. So
lots of preparation. Well, any famous last words from you, Paul? And thank you so much for being on today.
Well, my pleasure. I was very honored to be on your show, both you and Sean. I think you nipped it in the bud in the very beginning, Tina, and that is that if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. So you got to have fun in doing it. I'm not any different than I'm doing this Zoom call with you, or in the airport, or on the platform, or anywhere. I just try to stay the same person. I have fun no matter what I do. And if people don't like it, tough shit. As leaders, you know this. You're not going to make everybody happy, and you're not going to make yourself happy. But I have fun. I don't care if I go to the grocery store or whatever I do. I'm having fun. I'm talking to everybody. And so you got to have fun in your business. If you don't, you lose your insanity. You drive yourself nuts. You sleep at night, and there's nothing you can do about it. And here's the key. Don't take it personal. You know what I mean? You're not going to please everybody. Everybody's not going to agree with you. Everybody's not going to say, oh, yeah, she's this, she's that. And they think that both of you just happened. This just happened. They got all this money and shit. It just didn't happen. You worked your ass off just like I have. That's what they don't understand. And it takes time because they want instant gratification. And it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of tumbling, there's a tumbling on the lock, and you got to keep searching and searching, and you're going to get pushed back. It's not easy. Believe me when I tell you, but it's really an honor to know the both of you the way I do. And, I love the Paul Mitchell family. I speak probably to 20 to 25 schools a year, and I love every single one of them. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a different belief system, and they're great. Wynn's awesome. And John Paul's awesome. And it's just a great group of people. And I'm very, very lucky, and I'm very fortunate that I'm in this group, knowing that, I have my own salon and my own school, and it's not a Paul Mitchell school, but maybe one day I'll sell it to you too.
Yeah, there we go. There you go, Sean. You want to move to Massachusetts next?
Go. Freeze your ass off, Sean.
Yeah. He already is in Michigan right now, so
yeah,
freezing. Thank you, Paul. God bless you. Thank you for being on.
God bless you guys, and thank you very much. I appreciate you having me, and have a good week. And hopefully I'll hear from you, Tina or Sean, and I'll come to your schools, and we'll light them up.
Great. Yep, you will. Share 100%. Take care, Paul.
Have fun, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.